Dolly, my dog, is passionate about bones. She often runs around the yard, moving her bone from one hole to another, rarely leaving it in the same spot for long. After work one day, I watched her routine from my chair and called her over when she barked at a noise beyond the fence. She brought her bone to me, placed it on my lap, then retrieved it and ran off again. Dolly never brings her bone inside. She always stores it in the holes she has dug. When I returned indoors, Dolly followed, stopping for water before accompanying me through the house. She is loyal and affectionate with me, but cautious around strangers, especially visitors or yard workers. Dolly, a strong terrier and pit bull mix, is energetic and curious on walks and enjoys attention from others. Her protective instincts only emerge when someone enters our home. Dolly followed me into my bedroom and curled up into a small donut shape, falling asleep in her comfort zone. I climbed into bed and curled up at my legs instead of the other side. When I woke up, Dolly woke up as well. As I used the bathroom, she went wild on the bed, tossing blankets upside down. She was a weirdo. I let her outside and gave her food before making coffee. I thought through my day as usual, focusing on getting back home. Work was frustrating, and all I wanted was a shower and to watch TV. I let Dolly inside. She first set down her bone in one of her holes, then ran to me. She was always excited to see me when I returned. I went to bed early, and Dolly curled up next to me as always. I felt well rested when I woke up with her by my side. She was truly my best friend, and I didn't spend time like this with anyone else. She was with me 95% of the day. I knew she loved me by the sweet affection and lap hugs as she settled on my fuzzy blanket. That was her favorite spot, a mound of fuzzy blankets. She never wanted to get off, so you had to pick her up or push her away as she ran with her tail between her legs. Sometimes I just needed a fully cleaned house and my couch was the focus. It's not that she couldn't lie back down, she just wouldn't have a mound of blankets to return to. One night when I came home from work, I decided to stay in. I tried to get Dolly to come inside, but she wouldn't leave a spot by one of her holes. I called her, but she didn't budge, so I left the light on for her. The next morning, I woke up alone and checked on Dolly with a bowl of food. She didn't come to me. She just sat there, protective and alert. I set her food down and went to work. Whatever she had in that hole, she was serious about it. When I returned, Dolly lay by her hole and her food bowl was empty. I had to catch her while she was eating to get close and see inside the hole. The next morning, I put out her food and watched her. I waited until midday when she finally went for her bowl. I went around the house, opened the French doors in my bedroom, and sneaked to the hole without drawing attention. I thought it was a joke when I saw what was inside. There were 4 connected vertebrae in the hole, stashed on a big mound of mud. I picked it up and turned it over, thinking it was plastic, but it felt real as I rolled it between my fingers. I was too freaked out and called the cops to report that my dog had human remains in my yard. They thought I was joking at first, but then took me seriously and sent a squad. When the officers saw it, they put it in an evidence bag and walked me to my room. "You're gonna want to pack," is all the officer said before leaving me alone with no answers. I found a hotel with a washer and dryer, and during the 3 weeks I stayed there, I washed all my belongings once a week, including the sheets and blankets I brought from home. Who is to trust these days? Dolly hated being inside and was neglecting her real chew bone completely. She didn't want anything to do with it or even look at it. When we finally restored our yard and dug up the hole where her bone was, Dolly searched everywhere for it. She desperately dug but never found it. The poor dog whined for days until she stopped and returned to her usual self. This lasted about 3 days before she was back protecting her hole. I couldn't believe it. How was she digging up bones after the yard had been scoured? I went out, pushed Dolly aside as she yapped and slobbered on me, and saw a hip bone and entire pelvis, to be exact. I contacted the police again, resulting in another temporary relocation. Dolly seemed confused and distressed by the loss of her toys. The police found no further evidence and remained puzzled about the source of the bones. If you could follow your dog for a day, see where she leaves, and see if she goes somewhere to get her treasures. The officer placed the hip bone into an evidence bag, then handed it to the officer and removed his gloves. "Call us back if this happens again." He nodded his head at me, and my house was mine again. I went through the cycle with Dolly and waited for a day when she was especially normal to follow her. A few boards were loose on my fence, and Dolly left the yard whenever she wanted. I crawled on the ground, slowly following her as best I could. I went through 2 fences before Dolly stopped in a yard and began digging under a gazebo. I watched her go past the concert and dig down and around the building to fetch another bone. I got Dolly and left that yard quickly, then went home and told the police what I saw. The house was swarmed with officers within minutes, and the owner was arrested in front of his family. I fixed the fence where Dolly had been escaping, hoped those escapades were over, and returned to my routine. Dolly was normal and great to be around again. Months later, Dolly became very protective of her hole and didn't let me near it, afraid I'd take it away. I caught a glimpse of a snapped femur and immediately stepped back. I went down the street and, just to be sure, went behind the police tape into the backyard. The Jazzino was gone, as was the concrete foundation that had held the body. The area was picked clean, and I didn't understand how she got this bone. There was fresh dirt everywhere and not a single hole to be witnessed. I went home and let it be. I didn't know why this was happening and was tired of dealing with officials, so I let my dog keep her bone. Eventually, she got comfortable enough to give it to me to hold for a moment. It was weird, but it was life, and I went with the flow. Then one day, she came back with half a skull, and by this time, there was no way it was coming from the house down the street. That house was already on the market and desperate to sell. The police would not have missed half a skull anyways. It was a large hunk, and that yard with the remains did not have a single hole in it. I didn't understand how she was finding these human remains, but I was tired of asking questions, so I let Dolly be with her new chew toys, which she protected all hours of the day and night.